How to Draw a Vase in Perspective by Vladimir London. For this exercise, you will need some graphite pencils and an eraser or whatever pen or pencil you have. I will show you how to use constructive drawing principles to draw symmetrical geometric objects on example of a vase. In the middle of the drawing area, I am drawing one virtual line that spans from the top to the bottom. Try drawing it freehand, but keep this line more or less straight and vertical. At the top, I will add one horizontal line. This will be the axis of the pot's top. This line must be strictly perpendicular to the center line. Now, we need to decide on the height of the pot. The axis of the pot's bottom also has to be straight and perpendicular to the center line. I will reserve some space beneath the pot. The space below this line will be used later. It's time to decide on one-point perspective. I draw this vase from imagination and therefore have to invent a vase design and a point of view. I'm checking that the top axis is symmetrical by measuring its left and right halves with a pencil. At the top, there is the vanishing point that lies on the horizon level. Two diagonal lines go through these two dots and meet in the vanishing point on the horizon. Angles of these lines are identical. Now, I mark the pot's depth. Two vertical lines are going down to the ground. All lines at this step are very thin, almost invisible. If you don't see much on paper, it is because I do not press on the pencil. It helps to avoid excessive erasing later on. It is important to keep vertical lines strictly vertical. 2 points at the ground level also have to be connected with the vanishing point. I do it freehand using faint lines. I'm actually drawing a cuboid with a square base in perspective. Now, let's build the back plane of this cuboid. After deciding on the perspective, I can clean up redundant lines with an eraser. The top square of this cuboid is foreshortened quite a bit. Using two diagonal lines that connect its corners, I locate the center of this plane. You may see that this center is slightly higher than half distance from one edge to another. Now, I will repeat the same exercise for the bottom plane. This square in perspective is foreshortened much less than the top one because it is further from the horizon. Two diagonal lines give us the center of that square in perspective. Through this center, I can draw a horizontal line. This line must be strictly perpendicular to the vertical axis of symmetry. The same can be done for the top plane. This construction in perspective gives us 4 dots that we can use to plot an oval of the pot's mouth. I drew this oval freehand, making sure that its right and left sides have rounded corners. An oval is a circle in perspective. Because circles don't have corners, neither should ovals. With a wooden case pencil, I can make boulder lines of an oval. All other lines we depicted by now are virtual imaginary axes and alignments. Therefore, they remain slim and faint. When drawing border lines, Remember about an aerial perspective, which means that lines that are closer to the viewer have to be stronger and bolder than those further away. In this case, the bottom half of an oval has to be bolder than the upper half. Here are 4 dots that we can use to draw the pot's footprint. Once again, this oval should have rounded sides. In perspective, its bottom half is a bit bigger and fuller than the upper one. I mark preliminary lines with thin mechanical pencils. When I'm happy with its shape, I can outline in bolder strokes using a wood-encased pencil. The same rule of aerial perspective works here. The bottom half of this oval should be bolder and stronger than the top part. This is because we see this circle from above, and its lower part is closer to a viewer. You can see that the footprint of a pot is much fuller than its top plane. This is because the pot's top plane is much closer to the horizon level in this drawing. Now, it's time to decide what shape this object has. If I do it taller than its diameter, it would be a vase. Making it wider would result in a pot. I will mark the location of its widest part a bit higher than halfway from the ground. The main axis of this part should be strictly horizontal and perpendicular to the vertical line of symmetry. I'm using a pencil to measure the width of the pot, making sure it is symmetrical. The top oval is quite slim, the bottom one is much fuller. An oval in the middle will be fuller than the top and slimmer than the bottom ovals. There are ways to calculate exact moments of that oval, but for a quick sketch, I will judge its proportions by eye. If you don't know how to build objects in one-point perspective, you can check video lessons in the Drawing Academy course that explains how to draw in perspective. It is important to draw rounded ends of an oval on both sides as it represents a circle, and circles do not have sharp corners. Now, with the main ovals of a pot in place, we can define its design. I will draw another oval of the mouth rim, which is the topmost edge of the neck that circles around the pot's opening or a mouth. Outside this oval describes the cross-section of the neck. Inside the opening, this oval represents the diameter of the mouth. I will also depict the thickness of the top rim. The curved line of the pot's body circles around the mouth and connects it with the widest part of the pot, which is called the shoulder. To draw the pot's body below the shoulder, I have to define the foot first. To do it, I draw its main axis that runs strictly horizontally perpendicular to the axis of the pot's symmetry. It is about 1 centimeter higher than the base of the pot. Its width is a bit smaller than the underside base. Also, I need to make sure it is symmetrical. The oval of the foot will be almost as full as the oval of the footprint. With this oval in place, I can now draw the pot's lower body. Because we see it from above, the outline of the body will overlap the oval of the foot. With such overlapping, this line will not be visible in life, but we draw a pot as if it is transparent and we can see through it. It is a quite simple pot with the neck rim, foot rim, and wide body in the middle. I hope you find this sketch easy to follow. Now, to make this exercise more challenging and interesting, I will show you how to build decoration with precision. To begin, let's draw a horizontal line anywhere below the pot. To save space, I will do it right at the bottom edge of the foot. Using vertical projection, I mark the pot's width on that line. 2 vertical lines go down from the pot's shoulders to that horizontal line. This is the diameter of the pot projected to the ground. I measure the pot's radius with a pencil and use this radius to mark a semicircle. I would advise you to do it freehand to train your skills of measuring by eye. With few radius marks in place, we can now draw a semicircle. Do it freehand. It doesn't matter that the circular line won't be perfect. Practicing freehand drawing skills is more important than perfect results of every disposable sketch you do. The next step is to divide each quarter of a circle in half. This will give us an angle of 45 degrees. Also, do it by eye. If in doubt, you can double-check your measurement by using a pencil. Such 45-degree division is optional. Depending on your design idea, it could be something different. I just would like to show you the principle. Once again, you can check proportions with a pencil. Each 45-degree segment can be halved once again. Do it by eye. It doesn't matter if your measurements will be slightly off, as long as you understand the sequence and reason of steps. You can draw it better next time. The aim of such divisions is to get 8 equal-sized segments of the semicircle. The number of segments is up to you. For example, you can do 10, 12, or 16 segments if you wish your design to be different. For simplicity of this task, let's stick with 8 segments in our case. The main purpose of those segments is to mark equally spaced dots on the semicircle outline. Now, from each of these dots, I will draw a virtual vertical line that goes up to the oval of the pot's shoulder. The important thing is to keep every line strictly vertical. This will ensure correct spacing of dots on the shoulder. As you can see, the location of the virtual semicircle is not important. It can be above or below the pot at any distance from it. As long as its diameter is the same as the width of the pot, it will do the job. Avoid using rulers or compasses. It is about your hand-drawing skills, not technical drawings. You can see that dots on the semicircle are equally spaced. However, projections of those dots on the shoulder have different distances between. This is because we see this shoulder in perspective. I will now add one more, smaller semicircle to this sketch. Its diameter will be the same as the pot's neck. Once again, I'm using a pencil to determine its radius to plot the outline of a circle. I will use one mechanical pencil for thin lines and another wooden case pencil for bolder outlines. Dots of this outline are already in place. They are where each radius crosses this small circle. As previously mentioned, we draw virtual vertical lines to connect those dots with the oval of the pot's neck. Needless to say, the vertical lines have to be strictly vertical to maintain correctness of this drawing. Although precision is required, I would still suggest you draw all lines freehand without using any rulers. This way, you will develop your hand-eye coordination and quality of lines. Now, we have several pairs of dots on the neck and shoulder of the pot. All we need to do is to connect corresponding dots with arced lines that go along the pot's body. I didn't plot dots on the lower body, but you know the principle and can easily do it yourself. Each pair of dots belongs to the same radius on the ground. If you want to plot very precise lines, you may use not only 2 dots, but more. For example, you can draw an oval between the neck and shoulder of the pot and its semicircular projection on the ground. This way, you will have not 2, but 3 dots to use for each curved contour on the pot. For the purpose of this fast sketch, I'm happy with only 2 dots and can draw contours freehand as I think it fits the pot's body. As long as you understood the principle of this exercise, it is up to you how many dots you want to have and how precise you want contours to be. The main reason of using virtual semicircles on the ground is to plot with the necessary precision virtual lines of contours on the pot's surface. Without guides of semicircles, you would have to do guesswork, which might result in mistakes. The method I'm showing you here is especially helpful when you draw an object not from life, but from imagination. Even though this pot is created from my head, its geometrical construction is believable, and this object looks realistic. I don't know any contemporary art college or university in the West that will teach you this method. Constructive drawing principles are simply not part of a curriculum there. Here we go. All vertical contours of a pot are marked in the drawing. Now, I will add a couple more ovals between the pot's neck and shoulder. These ovals will be used for the decoration pattern we are about to draw. Once again, it is important to make sure that both sides of each oval are rounded without any sharp corners. Many beginners forget to do so. I will also add an oval below the shoulder. These secondary ovals will serve as horizontal guides for our future design. I'm drawing such helping lines with thin mechanical pencils. This is to avoid extensive erasing after applying decoration. In a way, these virtual lines look like a mesh of meridians and parallels of a globe. Now, using a wooden case boulder and softer graphite pencil, I can start depicting the pot's decoration. I haven't decided yet what the full pattern will be, but let's start with some decorative elements and see how an ornament develops. I'm using cross points of ovals and meridian curves to base the decoration upon. With such a mesh of crossing lines, it is now easy to draw any design you have in mind. I will do some organic ornament, drawing shapes that resemble petals of flowers or leaves of plants. In this drawing, every petal occupies the space of 2 meridian segments. You are welcome to draw any design you like. For example, you can draw a circular shape inside each cell that is formed by longitude and latitude lines. Or even simply connect with flowing lines every crosspoint of this mesh of virtual lines. There are infinite possibilities to create any design you want. As you can see, one row of petals is in place, and without helping lines plotted on the pot's surface, it would be very challenging to draft this design with precision in perspective, especially as I am drawing this pot from imagination. I will keep decoration simple and continue the same pattern of petals by adding another row. I'm continuing with the same design. Every petal takes 2 segments, and its pointing tip coincides with a meridian line. However, you can double the number of petals by inscribing each not into 2, but 1 cell of the mesh. For the 3rd row, I will change the pattern. This time, instead of wide petals, I will draw egg-shaped elements. Every such egg takes 2 cells, one above and one below the shoulder oval. Once again, it is up to you what design to draw, or you may follow mine if you wish. All I want to demonstrate here is how you could draw with precision some complicated patterns in perspective. Such sketching would be quite challenging to do without the necessary preparatory work. If you understood the principle of constructive lines, the rest is straightforward. It is up to your taste and imagination. You can apply any decoration you have in mind. because it will follow guides of meridian and parallel lines. Any design you do will look believable and realistic in drawing. Needless to say that this method can be used not only for drawing vases and pots, it is suitable for any cylindrical or spherical object. For example, some ancient Greek and Roman columns have flutes, a series of parallel lines along the column shaft. This method of drawing a semicircle and dividing it into the required number of segments works very well for drawing flutes in perspective. I will end this pot decoration with the classical egg and dart, or egg and arrow pattern. This pattern consists of ovals placed next to each other and arrowheads or dart tips showing between these ovals. You may find such patterns in various places, like decoration of buildings, picture frames, furniture, pottery, and so on. At the bottom, this pattern will end with vertical lines along each meridian. With the main design lines in place, I can now develop this decoration further. For example, I can add double lines to emphasize the edges of petals. This is all optional. I just want to give a bit more refined look to this pot. There are endless possibilities when it comes to decorative design. Every culture and civilization in the history of arts, starting from the Stone Age, developed some canons of patterns. You may study such cultural heritage in museums, in art books, or online, or invent your own patterns and ornaments to push boundaries of decorative art further. I will add the double line to egg shapes as well, and that would be enough decoration for this pot. I don't want to overcomplicate it. The linear sketch is complete. To reveal the pot's three-dimensional nature, I can add some tonal values to the sketch. One way to render values is to hatch lines with graphite pencil. This will take some time though. Inside the pot, we see shadows on its internal surface. The light is coming from the top left corner, so the left side of the top rim will be in shadow as well. Outside, this rim will have shadow on the right-hand side. The same would be true for the right side of the pot's body. Rendering tonal values in graphite pencil is a long process. I can speed up shading by using watercolor instead. This mop brush from Escoda will suit for the job well. I would like to keep this artwork in monochrome, which means using only one paint, black, for instance. However, if you have some other creative idea, you are welcome to use as many colors as you want, making this pot as vibrant as you would like it to be. The thought of rendering in watercolor came to my mind after I began this artwork. Should I plan this work more carefully, I would probably go for watercolor paper and applied less pressure on the pencils to keep the lines light. Never mind. Next time, I might do a full color artwork of some vase or a pot from imagination. With wide, thick brushstrokes, it is easy to cover big areas fast. Imagine how much would I need to work in pencil to achieve the same value by hatching thousands of pencil strokes. I will deepen up values of shadows on the pot's lower body that is turned away from the light source. Painting in watercolor is a big subject on its own and is outside of the topic of this webinar. The foot of the pot also has shadows, both case shadow falling from its body and the form shadow. The theory of light and shade and how to render tonal values is explained in depth in the Drawing Academy course video lessons. To suggest a highlight on the pot's shoulder, I will partially erase helping lines and lighten up lines of decoration with a rubber eraser. This way, we would make the shape of this pot even more three-dimensional. I hope you found this webinar interesting and helpful, especially when it comes to constructive principles of plotting helping lines. We touched several points in the last half an hour: how to draw in one-point perspective, how to draw ovals the right way, how to divide three-dimensional shapes in equal segments in perspective, decorative design, and rendering tonal values. Of course, it is not possible to cover in one webinar everything you need to know to draw skillfully. That is why we created a full video course where you can learn traditional drawing techniques which are no longer taught in contemporary art colleges. In the Drawing Academy course, you will get 45 video lessons and multiple bonuses and will learn fundamental drawing techniques every professional artist must know. This course comes with a lifetime membership, so you could study at your own pace in the comfort of your home. Above all, as a Drawing Academy student, you will rely on a personal support from Academy tutors. Such support includes unlimited artwork critiques and tutoring on how to improve your drawing skills. This personal support is available at no extra charge for a lifetime. You won't find any art college or university that would offer you the same deal. When it comes to the price, consider this. A contemporary art college would cost you anything up to $100,000, and there is no guarantee that you will graduate with good drawing skills. However, in the Drawing Academy, you don't have to relocate. You don't have to stick to some college's schedule. You will have unlimited personal tutoring and lifetime membership. You will get all these for a one-time tiny fee of only $237. After completing the Drawing Academy online course, you will also get a diploma in your name to commemorate your achievement. Don't wait. Enroll in the Drawing Academy course right now at a discounted price. This is a limited time offer. See you when you enroll.